So it is Thursday, 1st of August, 2024, and this is the 45 Day Show, episode 27. Two shows this week. On Tuesday, I interviewed DJ Money Shot from the Allergies, and today I'm going to interview again, but it's a bit of a back and forth interview. I'm going to ask him questions, he's going to ask me questions. Mark James, who was on the show a little while ago, just before the amazing Glastonbury Festival, and we said on that show that we'd get it back together. I'd ask him some questions about Glastonbury. He'd ask me questions about 45 Weekender, which we had in Hamburg a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, so it should be an interesting show, seeing what we're doing as 45's DJs, 45's sort of organizers around the UK and internationally, and see what the scene's doing. So without further ado, there he is.
Hey, good evening, mate. How you doing?
I'm good. It's good to be talking to you again. I feel a lot's happened since we last spoke, so obviously it's great to have you back on. But yeah, Glastonbury. Now, obviously, we decided we'd send a few questions to each other so that we had an idea of what areas we'd be looking at. My first question, having been to Glastonbury as an artist and sort of had to sort of get records onto the site, I know how complicated it can be, but you guys took a full-on. We're not quite full on everything that you use at a show, but quite a lot. So first of all, what's the practicalities of taking what you do in Southampton and other cities into a festival and getting records, etc., to the venue?
Oh man, we're jumping right into this. Okay, well, yeah, it was a big challenge. I'll be honest with you, but we had enough time to plan ahead. We knew what gear we had to take, and we just kind of packed it into a van and got it down there. I think that we could have done with a bit more understanding of what the venue was like, but obviously being a new venue, it's kind of tricky to get that kind of information. But we knew it was quite big, and yeah, we had to take a fair amount of gear, including turntables and mixer and stuff like that. We brought everything, so yeah, getting it down there was a challenge. Getting on site, obviously getting ourselves sorted, getting ourselves prepared and things like that. Lugging it through the festival, we were kind of we didn't have any choice. There was no kind of direct back routes, so we had to go straight through the crowd and things like that. But it was cool. We got there, we were able to set up fairly quickly and get ourselves sorted.
I'm going to say hello quickly to DJ Peanuts in the house, hoping to speak to her later on in the year at some point. But yeah, so obviously decks and a mixer. Obviously, I think you said on the last show that you were going to take some lights, some banners, all that sort of promo stuff. When it came to it, how many records do you think you took, and how many do you reckon Dan took?
Between us, I mean, I probably took at least 600 records. We're talking 3 or 4 cases. The 45 holdalls hold about 200, I'd say. So, yeah, 3 of those, plus some other boxes. But yeah, between us, hard to say. There was a lot of vinyl on site. We just came prepared for any kind of eventuality. I guess after many years of doing this, it's hard to say what to take. And I think like going to Glastonbury, it's like I don't want to leave any certain records behind. You don't want to take, for example, I don't know, loads of rarities when, classics probably would have been the better thing. So we bought pretty much a good range, a good mix of sounds, just to be prepared for that.
Amazing. Yeah, and it's always difficult going to any festival trying to work out how many records you're going to take. Ideally, double-sided bangers to sort of save on the space, but we always take far too many records because like you say, you need to be prepared for everything.
I mean, one thing I need to point out is it was kind of like 5-hour sets each night, 4 days of doing that. So keeping that kind of upbeat sound on rotation constantly, I think taking that records actually really helped. I didn't want to take that amount of vinyl, but I didn't want to kind of sell ourselves short when we got there. So it was kind of one of those things.
Great. Right. So that's my first question to you. Do you want to hit me up with the first question from me?
Yeah. So this whole event that you've been talking about and telling me about and promoting for the last sort of like month or so just looked incredible. And yeah, how did that come about?
I mean, incredible is the word. You know, it's one of those things that it's an idea that I'd sort of had in my head before, and I'd spoken to other people in the UK about doing like a multi-venue city event, a bit like a festival, but those ideas got put on the back shelf. This came about from me seeing Svalansky, who's on Twitch, playing on a boat party with the Funk Bears, the crew that he DJs with. They're all playing 45s on a boat. I'm like, oh, boat parties are always good fun. Can we do a 45s one next year? And he was like, yeah, sure. And then I was like, well, if I'm coming to Hamburg, can we maybe get some other venues involved? So we spoke to a few people. We had Le Funk, which is a funk venue books, and I'll talk about that again later. And then possibly one other Washington bar, which we ended up using as well. And also we got in touch with Leslie Farisa, who's got a pedal cycle, which has got 2 PTO1 scratch and a little mixer on it. And he takes it to parks and puts on like an open air little event. So we're like, okay, well, maybe we can do that near a park, near the record shops or something like that. So we sort of got these ideas in place. And then we spoke to NMX and said, this is what we're thinking of doing. And he was like, right, we need to put Hamburg back on the map for funk and back on the map for 45s. We'll sort of make this even bigger. We can get some more venues. And then Emu got involved from the 45 Soul Society, who've been putting on events in Hamburg. And they sort of took it to the next level. You know, we sort of had a sort of very basic gathering. Let's have a couple of venues. They, like Sonny, had amazing artwork. They had like posters for every venue. We had 6 locations. We had the Bernstein Bar on Friday, boat party on the Saturday. Then we had Washington Bar. We had Le Funk. We had Mojo Jazz Cafe. We had Sommer Salon, and then a DJ brunch on the Sunday back at Mojo Jazz Cafe. And then Sunday afternoon, Leslie brought his bike and parked it up in a little park, and we were there. Mark Hype turned up as a surprise guest on the Sunday, and he was like cutting it up on this tiny little mixer and these PTO1 scratch. But yeah, it was just like a festival. We were bouncing around the venues on the Saturday night. I was hanging out with Tommy T, sort of, you know, went to all the 4 venues to sort of check it out, and it was just like moving through a festival site, checking out different venues, different vibes, different music, different, you know, cool decor or whatever was going on. So yeah, it was really interesting to see how it came out, and I think it's just going to carry on. We're definitely doing it next year. It's going to be bigger, better next year, hopefully more locations. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that progresses and potentially taking that to other cities at some point.
It's awesome to hear like the collaboration aspect of that. I think orchestrating that amount of venues in, is it, you say it was in one town, yeah, or was it in a couple of towns?
It's all in Hamburg, yeah. So we had the 3 of the venues were within about a 10 or 15-minute walk of each other, and then the 4th venue on the Saturday night, Le Funk, was like a 10-minute Uber away. So, you know, we just got an Uber out there, Uber back, and then did the other 3 venues. But yeah, it was great just being able to walk between them. It was amazing, you know.
I think you said there was about 30 of you, maybe. I don't know.
There was supposed to be 30 DJs. I think 2 or 3 dropped out in the end. So in total, there was anywhere between 25 and 27 DJs across the 3 days. Not everyone was there the whole time. Not quite everyone. I was looking at the list because I knew this question was coming. I think out of the 27, I think there's maybe 4 or 5 I didn't get to meet. And that may have just been they weren't at the opening party, or I wasn't at a venue at the same time as them, or whatever. But yeah, met, you know, the DJ opening party was genius. You know, it was basically get everyone in the same place. NMX did a barbecue and was doing sort of burgers and chicken, and then it was open decks, 3 tracks each, and then we rotated. So I got to meet a lot of DJs. I ended up sort of running that bit for a little bit on the Friday night, but it was like, right, you're next, then it's you, then you, then you, then you, and yeah, it was brilliant. You know, it was a lot of fun. It was great.
It sounds awesome. I know you kind of invited me to go along to that. It's a shame we couldn't make the dates align. It's just one of those things, but definitely like next time, if you've got more things like that going on, that'll be a wonderful thing to be part of. What kind of records did you hear then, right? Because obviously in this world we know a lot of stuff, we've heard a lot of things. So when I go to parties or any shows where it's got like various selectors or certain DJs that I'm particularly fond of, you know, I'm looking for hearing sounds that turn my head, if that makes sense. So is there any tunes?
It was
Kind of
quite a mix, I think, because of the way everything was. Like the opening party, I think everyone was just bringing, like, you know, real heat, and there was a lot of boogie. Obviously, the Hamburg is known quite a lot for its boogie and its boogie funk, so there was a lot of that being played, and quite a lot of music from the 45 Soul Society's label, because we had a record shop, pop-up record store on the Friday night, and they had a lot of their releases, and they've released a lot of stuff that so far I think only 6 have made it like to the UK, so there's lots of stuff there. But it was interesting to see the different locations having different styles. Like the Mojo Jazz Cafe was pretty much boogie. Then you had the Summer Salon, which is a bit more commercial. So for example, NMX was dropping things like Wham, which was interesting to hear, you know, that sort of stuff. But obviously there is some good Wham tracks out there. And then you had La Funk, which was just classic deep funk, some Latin music, some, you know, salsa and stuff like that. That's the sort of stuff I was playing, and I was hearing these great funk breaks, like you'd hear at a funk night, you know, in the UK, classic funk night. And then we had the Washington Park, which was basically where we were playing, and sort of we were running. And again, you had basically the Twitch community playing anything. Like Sam Tweaks was there doing his sort of thing. You had Chris Pop doing lots of sort of German covers. Svalansky doing some house and Dropout, and yeah, it was just interesting to hear lots of different styles. You know, that was the thing. You know, it's great, and a different take, because it's German DJs, primarily boogie and funk orientated. So yeah, it was interesting.
It sounds like a festival. Could it be almost like the first 45 festival that's taken place?
Well, I've sort of said that. I mean, I don't. In certainly the few years I've been doing this, I haven't heard of anything like this. You know, I've heard of obviously maybe like, you know, maybe 1 or maybe 2 events perhaps in a city on a particular night, but to have effectively 5 events on a Saturday, all 45s, I've not heard of that happen before. So I think perhaps it is the start of a 45s festival that will carry on in Hamburg, and then potentially we can take to other cities, potentially eventually all these places happening at the same time. You know, I mean, it'd be great to say, right, this weekend there's a 45 thing happening in Hamburg, 45 thing happening in Southampton, 45 thing happening in Edinburgh. And I don't think that's beyond the realms of possibility. It's just a collaboration and getting people together and getting people on the same page. And it could happen, you know, and then I think it's going to start getting really interesting.
Well, there's only one day to do it, isn't there?
Well, there is, yeah. We had 4 events this year on 45 Day. Obviously, we had Cambridge, we had Worthing, we had Reading, and we had Manningtree. So that was 3 record shops and a cafe bar. So I think next year, hopefully, we try and double that, maybe more. I know Overdraft already had an event this year, but next year's a Sunday, so maybe if we get the date in already, we can do something there. But yeah, I think it will build, you know, and it's nice to have that. I'm not saying with Jazzy Jeff or anything like that, but obviously Jazzy Jeff does the playlist retreat, where obviously people go, and obviously massive artists, massive DJs, massive producers, and they just hang out and they create stuff, and you know, they make beats, or they exchange records, or they nerd out about records. It's a bit like that for 45s DJs. You know, we all sort of met, no ego at all. Everyone's like record digging, and they're like, "Oh, have you got this one? Oh, I've already got it. Oh, you should take it. You know, you buy it, and have you heard this record before, and let me play you that." Or, you know, it's a bit like a retreat, but for 45s nerds.
I'm down with that.
Exactly. And also it's interesting because the crowd enjoyed it. Like the general public, like the boat party we had, it's a tour of the harbour, and basically every hour, so we had 4 hours, every hour it would stop, a few people would get off, and then a few more people would get on. So you had a constant sort of change of people each hour, which kept the party vibe on. And I don't think those people really knew what it was about. They just booked the party boat, and it just happened to be what we were doing. And I think they were all then quite interested to see what we were doing, and we were using vinyl. And a lot of them will then, we said, right, the next venue is this one, come along, and then you've got this venue. And then we saw a lot of them later that night having found what we were doing, which they wouldn't otherwise have found if they hadn't been on the boat. So it's interesting to see people who were not 45 nerds enjoying what we're doing. And I guess sort of leading on to my next question for you, you know, what was it like in terms of the crowd at Glastonbury? You know, did they appreciate that you were playing 45s first of all? Did they notice that you were doing that, and did that make a difference?
Yeah, it was definitely a diverse crowd. Obviously, Glastonbury is a huge place. I don't know how many people are there, thousands, right? It's big. But yeah, we got appreciation in many different ways, and it was really nice to kind of have, I guess, connection with just a completely fresh new audience. They were aware of us, but I think that's partly down to bringing big decor and stuff like that to have impact. We brought our own lights and things like that just to stand out a little bit more. Nothing really was provided in that sense. So doing that helped, but playing the music first and foremost was where it was at, and you know, getting people dancing and seeing them kind of like looking at vinyl and enjoying it, and all those things that we like as DJs, you know, kind of paid off.
And just in case anyone doesn't know, because this was a new venue for Glastonbury, wasn't it? And it was, I forgot the name of the bar, but it was a bar that was literally next to the pyramid stage, wasn't it? And it was 10
It was,
till 3.
I mean, it wasn't literally next to it, but it was probably one of the closest beer bars to the stage. So you had a lot of people coming back and forth and things like that. And yeah, it was called the Brewery Bar. It was a pretty big venue. People might have seen some photos that were put online about what it looked like inside and stuff. Yeah, it was a really cool bar. We had a decent sound system in there. We were able to kind of play it as loud as we wanted. Yeah, decent staff that looked after us, and we had a great time all weekend. We were absolutely determined to have a good time. So we saw a lot of bands and things like that, and then obviously went and did our thing in the evening. Some nights we went out afterwards. So there was a lot to see and do, as well as put in the time DJing as well. So it was pretty cool.
Well, exactly. I mean, it's a long time anyway, isn't it? 10 p.m. till 3 a.m. And that's the sort of chunk where a lot of people might otherwise go down to the sort of southeast corner if they want to go sort of raving and that sort of side of things. But it's good. I get you got a slightly, I don't know. I mean, what was the crowd like? Was it young kids? Was it a mature crowd? Was it a mixture of both?
A total mix. And with so many people coming and going, seeing different bands, stopping for drinks, moving on. Yeah, it was just a constant wave. Didn't see the same person twice, obviously. You know, it was a total mix of different people. I would say this year's lineup in general for Glastonbury was probably catered a little more to the younger crowd in terms of what was going on the main stage. But that said, you know, all different ages and, you know, people getting down to different tunes. I think that's one of the beauties of doing 45s parties, right? And you know, this is you're dipping into new sounds and you're dipping into old sounds, and the two go nicely. And I think that's why we do like the certain mixes and the certain kind of like a bit of this and a bit of that, and also like, you know, bringing them into the kind of the modern times and playing some stuff that they're probably like, you know, heard in the last sort of like 5 or 10 years, as opposed to playing stuff funk and soul from 60s and 70s. So the blend works, and I think that's what works well with the type of people that were there.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's one of the things I enjoy, because you're not just going there for 5 hours of drum and bass or 5 hours of house or just 5 hours of a particular genre. And with 45s, you can go sort of all over the place. With that in mind, was there sort of, you know, maybe 3 45s that got the best sort of reaction or that stood out for you at the venue, at the festival?
In terms of specific tunes and things like that. The only one that I can kind of remember dropping was a Summertime, it's just a remix by Smooth from Smooth and Terrell on his Whack Records label. So playing that always goes down a treat. I remember playing that at Glastonbury, and that was cool. But in terms of other specific records, I'll be honest, I can't remember. We played obviously a lot of different things: funk, soul, hip hop, reggae, jazz, bit of blues, loads of boogie, loads of disco, and of course chucking in various edits and mashups that we've got and picked up over the years. So lots of things went down well. Of course, old favorites, James Brown, you can't beat putting on things like that. But then you take them on a journey and you play all different things, and it keeps that party going. Obviously, with the I guess the movement of people through Glastonbury, there are times when, you know, some songs hit, some songs don't, and that encourages them to move on. But you get different waves, and it's I would say, you know, things started to peak. Well, being right next to the pyramid stage, everything shut down at 11:30 for the main acts. So suddenly we get all these people leaving the pyramid stage and coming straight towards us. So we filled up, I would say, from, you know, midnight onwards for a good, you know, couple of hours. Yeah, it was great. It was good. Those times were good.
Cool. Right, I think back to you. I can't remember what your questions were, but if you got some more questions
well,
for me.
We've got the one thing I really want to know about is the gig in the pressing plant, and were you actually spinning in there, or were you just making the record?
That didn't happen in the end. The original plan was to have the opening party in the MI's pressing plant, which is where they pressed the record that was part of the festival thing. But unfortunately, something happened at the end, so we moved to the Bernstein bar for the opening party. But yeah,
I think the record, please.
Yeah. So I think the other thing they thought of is that the pressing plant was a little bit out of the centre, and obviously, as with anything, you've got to make it as easy as possible for people to be there, and so they decided to sort of move the venue. But yeah, so this is the I don't know if you can say the 45 Soul Society, and it's Rob Hart with Mr. Math and David A. Tobin, and it's called The Weekend, and it's a lovely sort of sleeve. So every DJ who took part got one of these as a sort of gift, and then that's the sort of flyer with the ticket for the last thing, and then you've got it on red and blue vinyl, and you've got the original, and then you've got 3 remixes. I think my favorite remix.
Nice. What is it then? What's on it?
It's a sort of boogie song, and it's basically talking about the weekend and about how you work Monday to Friday. You look forward to the weekend, going out with your mates, you know, having a few drinks, having a few laughs, spending some time together, hearing some good music. And it's all about collaboration. You know, there's like, you know, the original, and then there's 3 remixes. And again, it's listening back to it now, it is basically what we did. We worked together to put together something cool for a weekend. All these DJs came together from, you know, various different countries, and it's great to have like a memento in something like that. And again, I don't think something like this been done. I don't know. You know, again, you know, tell me if I'm wrong. You know, has there been an event where there's been like a special 45 released for that particular 45's event? You know, I don't know. Maybe not.
This is a little embarrassing, but I quickly need to go and get a cable to plug in my laptop.
Okay, no worries. No problem at all. Go and do that. We don't want you cutting out. But yeah, thank you everyone who's tuning in so far. We're just going to sort of move that down. We are streaming at the moment on Twitch, so come over to Twitch if you want to join the discussion. Thank you to people sort of tuning in on Instagram. And also, yeah, anywhere else we're streaming. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so we're chatting with Mark James. He's telling me all about the Soul45 4-night residency at the Brewery Bar near the Pyramid Stage in Glastonbury. And again, the reason I think that's so important is because it's sort of pushing 45s into a new area. You know, I've played at Glastonbury. I know a lot of other 45 DJs have played at Glastonbury, but not to that extent where it's like a residency and it is specifically on a particular format. And this is where things are getting interesting with what we're doing, because obviously we've just done the same thing in Hamburg, and I think he's back. There he is.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. We don't want you cutting out. It's important to always have your lead. But yeah, I mean, I was saying, you know, it's amazing what you did in Glastonbury. It's amazing that 45s are getting bigger, because obviously we live in a bit of a bubble in terms of, you know, we live in a sort of Twitch bubble, and obviously sort of local UK events and other things we do. You know, you do a lot of events. You're not sort of online much, and obviously there's lots of little pockets of 45s communities around the world. You know, USA and, you know, Japan. And I was talking to someone from where is he from Bali the other day, and he was saying there's a little bit of a scene growing there. So yeah, so it's interesting to go. Right, you asked me about the pressing plant. I think, do you want to do one more?
What was it like in terms of an experience? Okay, we're used to a certain way of maybe doing things in the UK, or we have a certain style, a certain culture view on the whole 45s game. What's it like? What's it like over there in Germany?
Okay, that's a good question. I'm going to say hello to Ansanovic, who came and joined us. He's one of our viewers on Twitch, and he came and saw me and met Sam Tweaks at the Washington Bar. I was very impressed with how organized it was. As I said, you know, it was one little idea that I'd come up with. You know, two DJs can only come up with something. So I was impressed at the efficiency in, like, NMX, and that was putting posters up all over the city. And we saw some posters like the DJ lanyards and the organization. So that was really good. It was also great to see the venues having, on the whole, pretty much all of them, vinyl decks, because it's one thing that we don't really have much left in the UK. You know, you might find a venue that's got decks, they might be wrecked or they might not be good. Generally, you have to take your own stuff in. So other than the Mojo Bar, which was the sort of club room, I think all the other venues had decks in there. The other thing that was interesting was certainly two of the venues, Washington Bar and Le Funk, had been there since like the 50s. So these are venues that have been bars, that have been vinyl places all through that time. So it's interesting to see that you still had these vinyl venues still going, like, you know, 70 years, you know, almost 70 years later, which again, we don't quite have in the UK. Yes, there is a couple of classic venues and a few classic clubs, but, you know, most things change quite regularly. You know, you don't get many clubs that sort of stay. I mean, I don't know. I can't off the top of my head think of somewhere that's been around 70 years that you could walk into now and still have a good party. And then you had the sort of record scene as well. You know, we went to quite a few of the record shops. There was like 2 or 3 that were within, again, 5 minutes walk within distance. And again, because vinyl seems to have stayed a course in Hamburg, there's still lots of record shops. You know, even like little mini ones that we were finding that we weren't sort of expecting. So it's interesting to see that vinyl is still quite popular out there, and seems to be growing, hopefully even more, with obviously us sort of pushing the sort of 45s thing. But as an experience, it was amazing. You know, to go to anywhere and play music that you love, let alone go to another European city and find that, you know, there's people like you. We talk about this a lot on our streams. You know, people like me who are into records, or into 45s, or into record nerds, and all really cool people. You know, no ego. You know, everyone had a good time. Everyone was there to be, you know, part of this bigger thing. It wasn't like, oh, look at me, I've got the best records, or look at me, I'm the best DJ, or anything like that. It was quite a level, even though you had some DJs that are obviously, you know, bigger in stature, DMC champions and all the rest of it, and then you had people who don't really DJ out much. So it was sort of, again, what we've done on Twitch, but in the real world, where, you know, if you're into 45s, you're part of the team, you're part of the crew. You know, it's you don't have to be a particular style, you don't have to be a particular level of DJ. You're just accepted as being one of the community.
It's good to see, by the sound of it, that level of kind of like instant friendship. And you've been doing this for a long time, right? I've met you years ago, and definitely through, like, obviously the 45 Kings collective. Through that group, you spent a lot of time working on that and doing you know, a whole bunch of stuff, right? But moving on, you're now doing We Love 45s, and putting the time in for this wider aspect. Like, has it changed moving on from something like what you were doing with the Kings to now doing this?
I think at a base level, it hasn't changed, because I've always been about community, meeting people, and even before 45 Day came about, when me and Big 404 used to DJ together, you know, we'd often have people saying, "Oh, I see you're playing in Hastings. You know, I'm down for the weekend to visiting my mates. I'm a record shop owner. I've got some 45s with me. Can I join?" And we were always like, "Yeah, of course. You know, come and join, be part of the event. You know, be part of that."
Yeah, the original 45ers. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that's what
yeah,
we were
yeah.
sort of doing with that. And so then when Twitch came around, and obviously I sort of took over and then was running the sort of live streams and the shows. Again, it's just sort of organizing people, but getting people in, you know, saying to people, "Oh, I see you play 45s. Do you live stream?" "No, I don't." "Let me help you. You know, let's get you into this," and get them streaming on one channel so that they can get the experience and knowledge and know how to do it, and then sort of fly off and do their own thing, have their own channels, and build their own communities and build their own raid train. So it's always been about doing that. Now, we couldn't do that in the real world because of lockdown for a couple of years. So when things opened up, the very first thing I was doing is like, right, let's organize an event. And thankfully, Scotty Boy up in Edinburgh was like, "Yeah, come up, we'll do an Edinburgh thing." We did a couple of those. That was sort of the We Love 45s launch. And we also did an event in London the year before, where it was sort of a meetup, and it was part of the 45 Kings, part of 45 Day, part of Sunday Sevens, which was our mental health Twitch thing that we used to do. And again, it's meeting these people in person and fostering those bonds and those relationships. So it's sort of what I was doing before in terms of, for a particular channel, organizing shows or organizing events, to now being, right, well, let's see who I can collaborate with in a different city or in a different town or in a different country, and let's see what we can bring to it. And I think because people have seen what I've done on Twitch and organizing and bringing people together, you know, people get to see me and know what I'm about. I think people have been happy to sort of collaborate and do events, and I've been very fortunate, obviously, to be invited, you know, to stuff that you've done. You know, you said come down and play at Overdraft. You know, other people have invited me down to like Funk Addict in Bristol, and other gigs here and there. So it's great to sort of move on from being totally online to actually being able to take what I take online, but now in real life, and take it to that sort of broader market, hopefully.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, you can't be playing out. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of doing streams online.
Yeah.
I did stuff during lockdown, as you know. Everyone was at it. It's all good. It's all fair. But for me, I've always the moment we could get out of lockdown and back playing in front of the public, that was the main thing. It just, for me, I had experience just DJs playing to DJs, and that's cool and that's fine, and we're all nice and stuff, but it's not the same, right? I think we thrive on that interaction from the public, and to get people into it, that's kind of like where I'm at. And like, I had to kind of chuckle a little bit, and when I saw the promo for this particular thing, and you were saying like, visionaries and stuff, and like, that's super kind of you. I don't necessarily see myself as a visionary, but I definitely aspire to put on the best party possible in that whatever environment it could be,
Yeah, but I think the reason I put that on there is because we have sort of seen opportunities and thought a little bit outside the box in terms of what we're doing. Like for me, the fact that I could speak to someone in another country and sort of inadvertently help organize a big event like that was amazing, just to be a small part of it. But for you, like I said, the reason I got you on last time on the show was because of Glastonbury, because that is a big thing. I've been to Glastonbury, I've DJed at Glastonbury, I've DJed in artist bars and all the rest of it. But to have that sort of residency, it would have been quite scary, I imagine, when you first got approached, said, right, do you want to do 4 nights? You probably thought, oh, okay, that's quite a big undertaking. But you're like, yes, we can, and we've got the vision to do it, and then be able to then take that to other festivals. So that's why I sort of stuck that in there, because I think it's true.
I say yes to a lot of things, and then we figure it out later.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of like daunting as it got closer, and you're kind of thinking, right, we need to get this right. And you know, you mentioned about like making sure like the basics are right. You don't know what's going to be there when you get there and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So in some ways, like having control by taking your own gear, you know, it's a home away from home in terms of your setup. My kind of like my decks for gigging stay in flight cases. Okay, they're different from what I use at home here.
Yeah.
And you know, they are decent and pristine, and they only get used for the shows. So I know where I stand. They work. Obviously, we've got you know, our own styluses and cartridges that we use and prefer, and we take those with us. We get the same sound and quality no matter where we go. So at least that aspect is kind of controlled and managed. Plugging into sound systems is another thing. We didn't know what we were going to get when we got there. Fortunately, it was fairly decent. We'd have liked something much bigger in the space that we got, and we did push it to the limits of what it was capable of, but it worked. It did the job. Hopefully something in the future, if there's other opportunities, we'll be kind of looking to chat about getting bigger PAs in there, bigger speakers, to kind of give it that amplification it needed. But it was good enough, definitely good enough.
Yeah, and I guess it's like everything, it's breaking ground at the festival. You know, you've now done that. Maybe we'll jump on to the last question. The next question was going to be, you know, what's going to happen with 2025? But I guess once you're in, if you're going to be there back next year, you can say, right, this is what was good, this is what wasn't quite so good, this is how to improve it. And it's a constant building, like any festival. You know, stages evolve. You know, it's like all the big stages like Arcadia and all of those. You know, they gradually evolved year on year, adding things, and it's going to be the same with you guys, hopefully. So can you talk about it? Is there plans for 2025, or is it still too early to sort of know if that's going to happen?
Yeah, it is too early. I mean, obviously we've spoken to the organizers, and we know that we did a good job, and they're very happy with what we did. We were professional, and we turned up, and we made sure that, you know, everything was above board. And yeah, providing all that gear, I think, you know, showed some serious commitment, in all honesty. So I think there's definitely scope for us returning, and I'm sure talks will be happening soon. I'm friends with one of the organizers, so I'll be chatting to him at some point when the time is right. He does lots of things throughout the year, so he'll be busy doing other things. But yeah, definitely, I think that we're looking to have more of a residency and potentially more of a takeover. There's scope to do more things there, so we'll see what comes.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, I definitely look forward to hearing all about that. I'm going to say hello to a couple of people, and then we'll chuck it back to you for another question. I think I said hello to Damon earlier on. We've got Tea Cake, we've got Twitch Witch as well. And yeah, thanks everyone else for tuning in on Instagram and also on Twitch and anywhere else. So yeah, over to you. I think you may have another couple of questions.
Similar question, really, is what's the future holds, right? I know we've talked about this loads. You always say what we're doing next and things like that, but any more thoughts after coming back from such a big event like that?
Yeah, there's a lot. And I think part of the event was networking and obviously meeting people in person that you perhaps know, like I know off Twitch and haven't met in person yet, and people who I haven't met before. But again, it's just talking to other people and saying, like, you know, can we do this in your city? For example, I was talking to Mark Jacobs, and I'd already spoken to a couple of people before about the possibility of doing an Amsterdam one. I think that could be quite popular. I was talking to DJ Irie, and I think he says there's again nothing like that brings DJs together. That there's a few 45s DJs, but again, it's having a focus to sort of bring them. So Amsterdam's hopefully on the cards for next year.
You can sign me up for that straight away.
I'm sure, yeah. I'm sure that's the thing. I'm sure a lot of people, because that's the added thing. You know, it's like, right, okay, let's go away to a cool city for a weekend, and you know, hopefully we can all get to play a set somewhere. You know, the more DJs, the less sets everyone's going to get, but it's still, you know, anywhere you can go and play some records is fantastic. So that's another one of these city ones. I'm talking to someone possibly about something in Madrid. off the back of speaking to someone in Hamburg, there might be something in Cologne that we might be able to do. I'm talking to someone else about Zurich. So lots of sort of European cities, but also a lot closer to home. We're doing quite a lot of events in Cambridge through Yvette and Mischievous. And we've got another one-day event happening on the 7th of September. You mentioned Smooth earlier. He's headlining that one. And we've got quite a good budging scene in Cambridge growing of 45s DJs who perhaps weren't 45 DJs before and perhaps played 12s or perhaps were digital and then now are like seeing an opportunity to play some 45s out. So that community is growing, and they've done events, for example, when I've not even been able to be there. You know, Yvette has sort of run those events. But there's a potential next year for doing a bit of a conference. We need to look into the logistics of having like a cafe where there's one lot of DJs and then having like a main stage room where perhaps we've got an act or two, and with people selling records, so record sellers, people like Always Balling Club and other clothing people who, you know, we've done collaborations with for t-shirts, have some art stuff because we did some art before, and also some panel talks like this. You know, I think again that doesn't quite exist yet, unless I'm corrected, in the 45 scene. I know other subgenres, and there's Brighton Music Conference where they have talks, and it's very electronic dance music orientated. So I think, you know, there's potential for scope. We'd start it small and then see how it grows, and then just have a base somewhere in the UK to say, right, once a year, if you're coming to the UK and you're a 45s DJ, there's this going on. You know, come and hear some people talk about the scene, come and buy some cool merch, come and buy some records, come and sell your records if you're a label or whatever. So that's, I think, where I'm sort of hoping to take it next year, on the
cool.
in real life stuff. Obviously,
A convention would be awesome. Yeah. The picture you're painting sounds brilliant. And between everyone that's involved with things that you do and all the other people that put out records, they've got the labels, they've got the club nights, everything they're up to. If you could get them in under one roof, that would be quite something.
I think it's just a case again of the collaboration. You know, we're all in the 45s. There's not really any money in it. You know, there's a little bit of money if you're gigging, but again, it's not super thousands of pounds. You know, it's not a living.
There's no money. Glastonbury cost me money, right?
Well,
don't get me wrong. We were looked after. You know, there was plenty of food and beer and all that stuff. We had hospitality and it was good. Access to clean facilities and stuff like that. But in terms of, you know, a lot of
physical cash, it's just not there.
Physical cash to put into it and make it work and get in there and transport and various other things. You know, it does add up. And it's the same with pretty much all of the bigger shows sometimes. Promo, for example, you know what it's like.
Yeah.
It's not cheap. It's just paper, but you still got to print those things and you've got to get them up and all that stuff. So it's time and money, and there isn't a lot left when you get paid by the promoter or the venue owner. So it is what it is, and that's why we do it for the love, right?
Well, exactly. Yeah. I'm going to say hello to DJ Ketch as well. We were talking about him on the show with Money Shot on Tuesday. But that's where it comes back to. It's, you know, we all do this because of the passion and the love, and the, like you say, Glastonbury cost. You know, it cost me to go to Hamburg. You know, I had to get flights. Thankfully, I was put up at a, you know, with Dropout. He put me up in his house and looked after and all the rest of it. But it cost money. It's still not a free event. Eventually, you know, if it builds up and it can be turned into some sort of festival and perhaps there's sponsors involved or whatever, then, you know, potentially there may be scope for, you know, getting travel costs covered or accommodation costs or whatever. But that's not why we do it. You know, we do it for the love, and obviously you doing it out and playing out for the people and the buzz and seeing people dancing, seeing people have a good time, seeing people enjoying it. And then also having this community where people you can talk to about records who are just like you. You know, they're also record nerds and that. So we get the sort of best of both worlds. And we have it here on Twitch at the moment as well, with our communities on Twitch, where there's people that we reach that we wouldn't otherwise reach because they're in different parts of the world. But yeah, it's a lot about the love and the passion. And I think if it wasn't, then we wouldn't be doing it.
Probably. Yeah, definitely.
You know,
going to Glastonbury, there's an element of curiosity as well. Like, will they get us? Like, will they dig what we do? But sticking us in a brand new venue, and bearing in mind, various bars in Glastonbury are well established, right? Things like the West Holts Bar and stuff like that. People know where to go to get the drinks closest to the bar, like the different stages.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like an unknown kind of thing, and the curiosity of can we pull this off? Can we get them to dance? You know, and it's I think that's what kind of like drives it. That's part of that vision that we're talking about.
Yeah, and just seeing, because you know you've got a good product. You know, I know I've got a good product in terms of what we're
See,
putting
I don't
out.
see it as a product.
Well, not a product, but
I get what you're saying, right?
You know what
you brand on things, but
yeah.
in some ways that is the only way to get the message out. Like,
Yeah.
I look at my thing, Soul45 is a very simplified version. The basically the concept that, like I said in the last thing, was how can I get this to the mainstream masses and turn them on to the old sounds with the new sounds and that kind of stuff. But yeah, in a way, I don't see it as a product. Like, I guess
maybe movement is the better word.
Yeah, I think certainly over time, right? Doing it for this amount of time, there's people that have been with us and come to our shows like for forever, and that's great. But people come and go, and people move out the city, and suddenly you've got different crowds and different people coming. So it's one of those things. But yeah, as a product, I don't know, man. Like, it doesn't feel like that to me. Definitely. I've sold a t-shirt or two with the logo on it, so I guess you could say it's kind of productized.
Well, maybe it's taking maybe idea is again the better word. You know, we're taking this idea that we can focus on one single musical format. We're going to limit ourselves to that. We're limiting ourselves to what we can bring out, but we're still going to show you that we can give you a good time in terms of the music and the event and all the rest of it. So that's really what we're selling. We're saying the message of it's good vibes, it's good music. You're going to dance to it. It might not be stuff you know, but you're going to enjoy it. And that's really what you're trying to put in front of people, isn't it?
Well, I think one of the crucial aspects for me, as well as that, is the visual aspect. Okay. The way it can be seen on the turntables. Yeah, you know, they're almost a bit of like you could say, for people who know nothing about this, like they're looking at and it's kind of almost like a novelty. It's like, that's unusual. Don't see DJs playing vinyl much out these days, especially the last sort of 10 years or more, has gravitated towards the digital world. And even now it's even simpler with the USB sticks, just plugging those things in. So there ain't a lot to see in that. Whereas what we've got is a very visual, hands-on aspect. It's quite tangible for us, but also from the public side. Like, I love, and you probably get this buzz too, when people do come up and they're like, wow, you're playing vinyl.
Yeah.
And we probably think straight away, like, oh, we're so used to this. It's not much of a big deal. But for those people that come in those times, it's like, actually, this is cool, right? It does matter, and it is interesting, and it is relevant. I think that's the other thing, is vinyl is perceived or can be perceived in maybe the DJ world as a bit like kind of fuddy-duddy, a bit old and stuff. So flipping it round and making it kind of like hip, I guess, is the fun bit.
Yeah, and it's doing it with record, like DJ Ketch says, that, you know, the visual experience is so important, and Benny's saying people are fascinated when they see the tiny record, unique and novel. You know, when you see the big DJs now, like, you know, people like James Hyper stuff, they've got like 4 decks, they're doing tricks and all the rest of it. He describes that as that's the human element. You know, it's not AI can't do that. That's, as far as he's concerned, real DJing, because he's manipulating sound across that. That's not quite what we're doing, but we're still providing a visual experience rather than just like looking at a laptop screen and going on. I know this sort of ridiculousness of the fact that we now stream. So when I first started getting into 45s, it was to get away from looking at a laptop screen and doing digital DJing. And now we're sort of on Twitch constantly looking at the screen. But when people come and watch you, even if you're just doing basically like literally selecting, You know, you don't even have to be doing anything special. People are still intrigued at seeing you take a physical record, put it on, put the needle on, and then suddenly music comes out. And we notice this a lot with the kids when we've got the kids DJ workshop happening again this weekend at our event. When the kids see that and then they press play or they move the record or stuff, you know, it's a tangible thing. They can see that they're manipulating music in real time as opposed to just pressing buttons on a controller. Now, there's nothing wrong with that because obviously two different styles of DJing, but I think the vinyl and the visual element makes us interesting, I think, to the general public.
It's interesting you say about like the pressing of buttons and stuff, because I'm sure you've seen these videos circulating online of like the house and techno world where you've got very animated DJs. And I'm just wondering whether part of that is that for years it's been quite static and there ain't a lot to do. That's not necessarily being negative. I'm not saying there isn't a lot to do in terms of like DJing, but the way technology has moved on has certainly made it more convenient and a bit quicker and easier to queue up songs, get them ready. Beat matching can be synced and various other things, right? You can be very technical on a DJ level, but what I'm saying and certainly seeing from those videos, it's almost like they're putting in more of a visual presence now to compensate for that. I kind of see what we do as like the opposite of that. The visual presence just comes as part of what we do and as part of the show.
We're not sort of, you know, going over the top and sort of doing it, but I think it's just something to look at, isn't it? And you know, I've had people say, you know, oh, I like just watching what you're doing with the vinyl, you know, just seeing what you're doing, because it can fascinate people, especially if they've never DJ'd before, or especially if they've not seen vinyl before. So yeah, okay, you asked me about where I see sort of 45 day going. Obviously you've announced you've got some more festivals coming up in the next few weeks. Where do you see Soul 45 going? You know, where would you like to take it in the next sort of few years?
Well, we're just taking kind of each month as it comes, right? There's quite a lot going on for the rest of the year for us. We've got We Out Here Festival coming up later this month, Victorious, and we're doing something new with Mucky Weekender, which is a festival curated and run by Dub Pistols frontman Barry Ashworth. So, you know, he's giving us some slots down there. So we're looking forward to doing new things with new people. I think, like what you said, it's about collaboration, but also working with people that get what we do and what we can offer. If we can find more opportunities as they come, then I think we'll take them. I think now's the time to do it, especially as we're quite mature in what we're doing now. You know, Soul 45 for 13 years has definitely like upped my game in terms of just being a DJ and what it needs to be now compared to what it was when I first started doing it. When we chatted last time, you asked me about like how I got into it and stuff, and I mentioned about like the Brain Freeze Breaks mix tape, the Cut Chemist and DJ Shadow, right? But I've since gone back to watch the live Freeze performance. I don't know if you've seen that from year 2000, and check it out on YouTube.
Yeah,
but they did a whole performance of it. I kind of forgot about mentioning that last time, but it's well worth checking out. And it just brought out like a real original raw emotion in me of like, okay, that's the real root. That's the original pinpoint of where, for me, I was hooked on the whole concept. Playing 45s, mixing them, doing things like playing the sample and then bringing in the tune that sampled it and stuff like that. All little things to kind of like, you know, make that party work. So yeah, in terms of going forwards, I was really inspired to see that after all this time again. I think I just want to perhaps take it back to some basics as well. We've got a club night coming up this Friday and we had some feedback from some people that came last time saying, "Oh, I was hoping there was going to be a bit more classics." Like Dan and I, we dug a little harder that time. We just wanted to play a few bits, and maybe we didn't necessarily think about like some people were hoping for that. Never mind the fact that the tunes were dope, and lots of people were dancing, having a good time. It's like there could have been more people dancing had we played more classics. So thinking about things like that as well, dialing it back to some of the basics, like I said, packing a few more classics in and slipping those in, rather than trying to be a little bit too clever sometimes. And that, I guess, comes with the just nature of doing this for so long. It's just like, I want to like keep myself fresh and entertained as well, But I'm looking forward to tomorrow night and playing some of those again, and going back to some of the old soul tunes that I used to play, Sam and Dave, and Marvin Gaye, and I'm trying to think of some others now. I can't think of any, but do you know what I mean? So different things like that will bring me back to the original point of why I started doing this, and hopefully, get some kind of just fresh ideas out of rediscovering it, going through my collection again, rediscovering a whole bunch of new tunes there. I think that's what I'll be doing as well. And then hopefully in the coming year, 2025, I'd like to get back out abroad again. I've had a fortunate few trips in different places, and playing out there is always a good experience. A very similar experience, actually. You kind of get the vision and idea that, going to a different country and playing there is going to be like, it's epic and everyone's into it and stuff like that. And it's not always like that necessarily, but it's still just as cool. But it's, like you've experienced going abroad, it's meeting the people in different cultures and different scenes and hearing different tunes. Like they're going to be playing different collections to what I've got and what I've built up over time. So I guess it's just embracing that. If we can play in Japan, that would be lovely. I've got some people over there that have got bars. They do vinyl nights and things like that. Tends to be more jazz, but there are different people over there doing stuff, as you know. That would be a hot spot to definitely go, because you could do multiple gigs across a few nights, and
plus the record shopping
out there, from what I hear.
Plus the record shopping. Yeah.
Well, yeah, record shopping is just bonkers from what people have told me. So different things like that. Yeah, lots of digging. I think that's the other thing as well.
Well, let's talk about that briefly then. So obviously you run Overdraft Records, and that's celebrating 5 years as well. You've got
this weekend, we're celebrating 5 years of being open and trading, which is pretty cool.
Well, let's briefly talk about that then. So from starting that 5 years to now, I assume you've learned a lot about the record store industry. And selling records and buying records, I mean,
I've learned a hell of a lot about the industry.
I bet, yeah. I mean, if things
I could
change,
tell you some of the things that I know, most people would be gobsmacked about it. Even the price of just what like cost price for vinyl and stuff like that is, it's ridiculous. So when I'm putting my markup on it, I'm thinking there's no way I can charge that, and I have to be more mindful of what I can sell it for. It's not just that, it's also the competitive nature of it, and also convenience. I'm dealing with people that are happy to just buy from Amazon or buy from Juno, and I don't necessarily blame them for that necessarily. It's one of those things, right? It's quick and accessible. I can't offer that kind of service being a small neighborhood record shop. It's one of those things, but I do enjoy it. I love it. And if anything, it's more about community and the music that comes with that, and the people I meet, and from all walks of life of the city. We get so many people coming in, first time DJs as well. They've never had a go. They're keen to learn. I show them just how to put 2 records on and keep that going. They get hooked and they come again. So lots of aspects of doing the shop over the last 5 years has definitely made it super worthwhile.
And you've got a lot of benefits there. One, you're open late because you're a bar as well. We discussed this on the last show. You've got good food, but also, like most good record shops, you've got an amazing secondhand collection, including the 45s corner. You know, it's and reasonably priced. You know, like you say, you know, you need to get those records in and out to get those, you know, get that quantity and that volume, isn't it? Because, you know, there's no point getting these records in and being overpriced and just sitting on your stock for 6 months or whatever. So there's all that sort of stuff you've got to learn as well, on top of putting on events, getting DJs in, having open decks. You know, there's a lot going on at your record shop, isn't there?
Yeah, we certainly don't sit around, that's for sure. But it's just trying to be something more than just the record shop. We've got the opportunity to do that, so why not? And with it being a bar, like we said, that naturally changes the whole, I guess, tone. Compared to a normal record shop that would open at 9 o'clock in the morning and probably shut doors at like 5 or 6 or whatever, you know, we don't open on a weekday until sort of 4 o'clock. Weekends were open earlier, obviously, but that's still 12 o'clock. You know, most shops have been open for 3 hours already. So it's a very different vibe. And I think based on that and what it brings, we're looking at, you know, how can we be this kind of like hub for different people and different scenes, different communities. You know, I got my own thing going on, but having a record shop means that I'm having to embrace in a lot of other DJ scenes and different sounds. It's not something necessarily new to me. I can you know, get on and chat with a lot of these people because I've known them for a while, but not necessarily stepping into their world as much as I am now, and giving them an opportunity back to come and do things in the shop and stuff like that. You know, it's been a fantastic experience. This weekend, for example, with the 5th anniversary party, I put together some friends who used to run record shops in the town. They're obviously closed down now, and you know, some of the areas are completely demolished and they've built flats or what have you. But to invite those people back, and you know, they're very kind of like you know, happy to be involved, and they like the fact, you know, they're really kind of like supportive of what I'm doing. So that's really, you know, that's a great feeling for me, is to have their blessing. Like, you know, people from you could say like the old guard of Southampton, who paved the way, right? They paved the way for me and many others who are doing what we're doing right now in the city. To have them on board for this party this weekend is just like, is awesome. So yeah, we're looking to have a good time, and that music predominantly is going to be we're you know, sort of more electronic based. I'm actually taking all of the funk, soul, the hip hop, the rock, the jazz, and taking all of that stock out. I'm putting in loads of jungle, loads of drum and bass, loads of house, some techno, some trance, and you know, we're having a little rave in the shop, so it should be good. 12-hour party, and looking forward to meeting a lot of different people as well.
Yeah, and it's amazing. And I think, like you say, it's about the collaborations. It's about the communities, bringing people together who wouldn't otherwise necessarily be together, and that's the payoff, isn't it? You know, and again, you don't know where that's going to lead and where that's going to take you, which is really important. Right, we've gone past the hour, so I think, unless there's any more questions, I think we've sort of covered most of the things we said we were going to sort of ask each other, haven't we? I think.
Yeah, man, thanks for getting me on board.
That's cool. If you hang on there for a second, I'm just going to set the raid, and we'll take it to my man J1. So I've not been there for a little while, so we'll go and see him. But yeah, thanks so much for coming on the show again. Thanks for giving up your time. I know you're a busy man, just like I am.
You're welcome. I need to do a couple of quick shouts, of course.
Yeah,
to my man, Disco Dan.
Yeah, Disco Dan.
You know, he's a massive influence in what I do. I've known him for a long time, and being part of Soul45 has dramatically changed what we're up to right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, without him, we couldn't have done Glastonbury. My man Andre, MC AM from Champions of Nature, he came along with us and span a few records as well. And last but not least, my friend Josh, who came along, part of our crew, helped film a lot of our stuff, but he also, you know, carried a lot of our gear and got us there. You know, we couldn't have done it without him as well. So big up to Josh. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say, really. Just got to get those in for those boys.
Fantastic, fantastic. Again, it's a team effort. It's a team effort. Right. I'm just going to raid now and then we'll end the stream. But yeah, just hang on there for a moment. But thanks again, Mark, and we'll speak soon.
Peace, man. See you soon.